Printing and Minting Company Limited. According to him, the new cashless policy of the CBN is a continuation of the cashless policy introduced 10 years ago by the Apex Bank, and in recognition of the positive changes recorded in the financial and payment system since its first launched. He stressed that the cashless policy is not based on any political consideration, as the CBN is an independent institution whose decisions are based on research, data and efforts of many teams working together across its different directorates. Shedding more light on the policy, the CBN said electronic transfers in the country as of October 2022 stood at 300 trillion from 3 trillion in 2012 when the policy was introduced. He said this represents a 7,000% increase, adding that in 2012 the country had 48 billion in POS transactions, but today it has 6 trillion. 2 women have been confirmed dead and a third seriously injured when 3 armed men attacked a Zimbabwe-bound bus in the Bela area of Limpopo province of South Africa. Speaking with newsmen, Zimbabwe's Consul General to Johannesburg, Mrs. Melody Shaurura, confirmed the incident, saying that an investigation team has been put in place to work together with host government authorities to establish more facts on the said incident. Meanwhile, Limpopo police spokesperson Brigadier Motlafela Mojapelu said police are yet to make any arrest and called on anyone with information to approach the nearest police station. According to him, the 3 rebels boarded a Harare-bound bus at Bosman bus terminus in Pretoria, pretending to be passengers. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country seeks to end the war in Ukraine, saying that he is ready to negotiate with Kyiv. Speaking with newsmen after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Washington and spoke before a joint session of Congress, the Russian leader noted that he is seeking a speedy resolution to the war. However, White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby claimed that President Putin has shown no inclination to hold talks. He told reporters that Putin's action had been contrary because the Russian president has shown absolutely zero indication that he is willing to negotiate an end to the war. Kirby said U.S. President Joe Biden is open to talks with Putin only after Putin displays seriousness about negotiations and after consultations with Ukraine and U.S. allies. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also said Russia had shown no real interest in meaningful diplomacy to bring the war to an end. The U.S. Embassy in occupied Al-Quds is considering rejecting visas to Israelis involved in violence against Palestinians who have sent a drama. According to report, the policy aims to encourage the Zionist regime to adopt necessary measures for limiting potential violence and reducing the willingness of Israelis to participate in violent incidents against Palestinians. U.S. visa regulations stipulate that anyone who has been involved in violent acts may not be eligible to enter the country. However, these rules have rarely been used against Israelis because of U.S. fleeting support for the occupation. Meanwhile, a U.S. State Department spokesperson noted that visa applications are adjudicated on a case-by-case basis in accordance with all applicable law. This is the right at New coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Southwest Nigeria. Now, our mid-news message. Peace is an essential ingredient of democracy. As we approach the festive season, wherever you are, give peace a chance. The de facto Taliban government's education minister, Nida Muhammad Nadim, has defended the decision to impose an indefinite ban on university education for women in Afghanistan, despite the international outcry. In an interview with newsmen, Nadim disclosed that several issues had prompted the decision, including female students not wearing appropriate Islamic attire and interaction between students of different gender, stressing that the decision is in accordance with the principles of Islam. He said though the females are students of agriculture and engineering, but their dressing didn't match Islam and Afghan culture. The controversial decision was announced by the Taliban's Ministry of Higher Education, saying it would take immediate effect. It will be recalled that demonstrations broke out in Kabul after female students were turned away from university campuses, while the Higher Education Ministry has sent letters to the universities saying their access will be suspended until further notice. China has been battling with a wave of coronavirus infections that has hit the elderly hard. The report says a handful of deaths from the coronavirus has been recorded after the government redefined the criteria by which COVID deaths are counted. It was gathered that the main entrance lobby hospital in Zhengguan had been converted into a makeshift COVID ward, while several beds occupied by mainly elderly patients on IV drips were condoned off with red and white tape. In a nearby room, about 40 mostly elderly and middle-aged patients sat on sofas and lay on beds receiving IV drips, some coughing. The emergency room at another medium-sized hospital in downtown was also overrun with around 30 elderly people attached to IV drips, squeezed among beds and chairs. Washington has accused North Korea of shipping rockets and missiles to the Wagner Group. The latest U.S. assessments came amidst growing concerns that the notorious private Russian military company has been playing an increasingly bigger role in Moscow's war in Ukraine. According to the White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby, America had assessed that the amount of material delivered to Wagner will not change battlefield dynamics in Ukraine. Kirby said U.S. intelligence officials determined that North Korea completed an initial arms shipment last month, noting that the U.S. is concerned about North Korea planning on delivering more military equipment. Meanwhile, British Foreign Minister James Cleverly has condemned North Korea for having reportedly supplied arms to Russia, saying in a statement that the fact that President Putin is turning to North Korea for help is a sign of Russia's desperation and isolation. In the meantime, North Korea's foreign ministry has denied reports of it having supplied weapons to Russia's Wagner Group, describing the claim as groundless. An explosion in a car in Pakistan's capital Islamabad has killed a policeman and injured several others. According to Islamabad police statement, security was on high alert and checking was in progress when a suspicious car exploded as the police attempted to stop it. The statement added that Head Constable Adil Hussain was killed in the attack. Meanwhile, television footage being aired on several news channels shows wreckage of a vehicle with a contingent of law enforcement personnel at the site. And here again are the highlights of the world at noon. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has ordered for 500 million pieces of currency for the printing of the redesigned Naira notes. 2 women have been confirmed dead and a third seriously injured when 3 armed men attacked a Zimbabwe-bound bus in the Bela Bela area of Limpopo province of South Africa. The de facto Taliban government's education minister Nida Mohammed Nadim has defended the decision to impose an indefinite ban on university education for women in Afghanistan despite the international outcry. A suicide camp operation has killed a policeman in Pakistan's capital. The blast occurred after policemen tried to stop a suspicious car at a checkpoint in Islamabad. And that was the World at Noon, edited by Olushayo Babatunde and delivered by Oluwatoyin Ojeyemi. News Talk today illustrates the birth of Jesus Christ as Christmas is being celebrated all over the world on Sunday, with a charge to people, especially Christians, to continue to reflect on the lessons of Christmas. The piece is written by Muturayo Ayigbayo of our editorial desk.
Christmas is celebrated every 25th December to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ. One day, about 2,000 years ago, an angel named Gabriel appeared to a young Jewish woman named Mary. Gabriel told Mary she would have a son of God. Mary was confused and worried about this sudden news, but she had faith in God. The birth of Jesus Christ took place in the time of King Herod the Great. Mary and her fiancé Joseph, the carpenter, lived in a town called Nazareth. Mary and her fiancé Joseph, the carpenter, lived in a town called Nazareth, but they had to travel to the city of Bethlehem to register for a census ordered by the Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus. Both Nazareth and Bethlehem are in the country now called Israel, and it is about 65 miles from Nazareth to Bethlehem, and the trip probably takes them several days. When Mary and Joseph got to Bethlehem, there was no place for them to stay because the inn was already full. The infant, so therefore, was laid in a manger, while angels announced his birth to a group of shepherds. They ended up spending the night in a stable, a place where animals are being kept. That night, some shepherds were on the field near Bethlehem, keeping watch over their flocks of sheep. An angel appeared to them and gave them the good news that a Savior, the Messiah, has been born. Suddenly, a whole group of angels appeared, saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill towards men." The shepherds hurried to Bethlehem and found Jesus in the manger, just as the angel had told them. So they spread the news, and everyone who heard was in awe. Also, a group of 3 wise men from eastern countries saw a star in the sky that signaled the birth of a new king. The wise men continued to follow the star until it was directly above the house where Jesus was. They found Mary and Jesus in the house and knelt down to worship him and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, some of the finest things in the ancient world. After visiting Jesus, the wise men had a dream that warned them not to return to King Herod, so they took different routes home. Herod was so furious when he realized the wise men had not come back to tell him where to find Jesus, because the intention of King Herod was to find and kill Jesus for fear of being removed by this new king. King Herod therefore sent soldiers to Bethlehem to kill all the children under 2 years, thinking Jesus would certainly be among those killed. But God told Joseph in a dream to flee to Egypt with Jesus and his mother, where they would be safe from Herod. They stayed in Egypt until Herod the king died and returned to Nazareth. According to the gospel, Jesus was raised in the town of Nazareth in Galilee during the 1st century. His name in Hebrew was Yeshua, which translates to English as Joshua. The birth of Jesus Christ is attributed to why Christians all over the world celebrate Christmas annually. Christmas comes on the 25th of December every year with full enthusiasm in Christianity. People worship Jesus Christ as the Son of God and respect him. Christmas can be seen as a God's gift to mankind because it is believed that God gave his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, to die for mankind. So through his death, man should be saved from sin and its eternal consequences, which is hellfire. This is the real meaning of Christmas according to the Christians. As Christmas is being celebrated this year, New Stock charges specially people. As Christmas is being celebrated this year, New Stock charges people, especially Christians, to imbibe the lessons of Christmas, which include love, humility, forgiveness, obedience, and sacrifice as exemplified by Jesus Christ. New Stock also taxes people to also embrace the less privileged in the society through giving and do away with any act contrary to the teachings of Jesus Christ. New Stock wishes Christians all over the world a happy celebration.
That's New Stock, which illustrates the birth of Jesus Christ as Christians all over the world celebrate Christmas on Sunday, was written by Muturayo Ayigbayo. It was presented by Temisopo Olayiwola. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening to The Word at Noon. Good afternoon.